Yo, what's going on, man? Today is December the 27th, 2023. It's your boy Chris, and this is the ChrisBeCappinn NBA show where I'm live on Twitter. I'm also live on YouTube as well. Now, do me a favor, hit the like button for me as you join. As always, is what I ask. And just mic check real quick. I want to make sure people on YouTube can actually hear me, man, because yesterday I was talking for about 9 minutes, even though I ended up getting 1,100 views yesterday on the show, but a long time I was talking. Let me know if you guys can hear me on YouTube. I want to make sure my audio is good before I jump in too much. So let me know if you guys can hear me or not. My mic should be connected, speaker should be connected. We should be good to go, but I just want to make sure everybody can hear me real quick. So let me know. All right, S. Send me some thumbs up. Jabari said audio good, and I appreciate that, man. Shout out to the chat as always. S. I see you in here. Rodmatic. Tasha, appreciate you for being here as well. Socks and Sneak says, what's up? He says Pell games was insane. Yeah, I watched that end of that Pels game. They did exactly what we said. They can't close a game. That's what the Pelicans did. No matter how much talent they got, they can't close a game. It's absolutely insane. So glad we stayed off of minus the 5.5 for the full game, minus the 4.5. But glad that we did get a cash in the first half. So and, just as far as a recap, I haven't updated my numbers yet, but we did win yesterday. That was the only play that I went official on. Just kind of got caught up in doing some other stuff when the news kind of broke. I talked about liking OKC in the first half as well. They did covered the full game as well. The OKC, really turned up on Minnesota last night, but I couldn't, like, after I do the show, it's hard to kind of track all the time because I got so much other stuff going on. I really wanted to make sure Jalen Williams was ruled in. He was. And Cat was ruled in or out, and he was, but it didn't come at the same time, and it just becomes too conflicting to kind of give out plays at that time. But OKC was a winner. And then I talked about Jabari Smith Jr. Thank God. That's exactly why I stay away from props. Dude did not show up yesterday in a fast-paced game against the Indiana Pacers. You see their offense just kind of run out of gas. So it is what it is. 1-0 yesterday, and hopefully we can kind of keep trending in that direction. I got one play that I locked in already and a couple other looks that I'm kind of waiting for, that I have like in the bet slip, just haven't placed them yet, and we're going to talk about them. So like I said, hit the like button for me if you can. Appreciate everybody for joining as always, and let's jump right into it. So let's see what we got so far. I'll come back to the comments. I'll definitely come back to the comments. So first game up, we got Sixers, we got Magic. This game will be played in Orlando. Tonight, of course, we know that the Magic are not in the greatest spot. This is the second leg of a back-to-back for Orlando. They did, they went to Washington, and they jumped out on Washington. Well, at the end of the first quarter is actually a tie. They end up covering the first half. And then the third quarter, they really turned up. And then fourth quarter, you see them kind of get up, and then they, kind of soak the lead away. And shout out to Washington. Washington fought hard. They did. The Magic did cover that game by a point. Now you see them open in this game. I want to say they opened as 2.5 point favorites. And the line went down to 2. Now it's back up to 2.5. The total in this one opened at 224.5, and it went up to 228.5 now. And that's my play in this game. And I really like the over. I looked at, so of course for Philly, Embiid won't be in. I think Embiid does more on the defensive end. For this team, they can still score without him. Of course, they need him to win games, but their defense really takes a toll without Embiid. I went through and looked at it. Also, Batum is also going to be out in this game. For Orlando, Gary Harris is listed as questionable. I'm not sure what's going on with Joe Ingles or Jonathan Isaac, who also missed the game yesterday. But I looked at Philly. They're 8-5 on the road straight up and against the spread, but they're 0-4 straight up and just 1-3 against the spread without Embiid this season. They lost by 6 on the Christmas Day game to Miami. They lost by 6 to the Celtics on December 1st. They lost by 10 to the Pelicans on November 29th. And they lost by 13 to the Timberwolves on November 22nd. So I went in and kind of looked at the numbers. And Embiid, in those 4 games that Embiid didn't play, they're 3-1 to the over. This is the second game of a 4-game road trip for Philly as well. Orlando, 11-2 straight up. They're 10-3 against the spread at home. This is the second leg of a back-to-back. Like I said, the first game back home after a 3-game road trip, so they could come out a little flat. They had to fight hard to get that win last night in D.C. So a couple of different things I looked at for Orlando. They're 2-3 straight up, 3-2 against the spread, playing on no rest. They're 3-1 straight up and against the spread, traveling from road to home as well. This season, like season-wide trend, unrested teams returning home as a short favorite of 3 points or less, they're 1-5 straight up and against the spread, 5-1 to the over. So one of the ways that I've been kind of playing, like just something that I've been kind of following is, you look for these spots, right? You look for these unrested teams versus these rested teams, and then you kind of go in and look at the numbers if you know how to do the syntax for the SDQL. And what the data shows me is that when you see these teams playing with no rest, those games typically go over, right? So that's the way I chose to play this one. When I was capping it last night, it might have been like it was after the Grizzlies game, not the Grizzlies game. It was after the last game last night. The Kings game went off. Kings and Portland game went off. I started handicapping these games, and this total was actually at 224.5. Before I could give send the write up out and get a play out, it had already moved to 225.5, and that's when I kind of jumped in. Right now, you see it already all the way up to 228.5. I see it 229 as well, and I still play the over in this spot. I think just kind of like what I talked about this season. Unrested teams playing in a different venue. So either your last game was on the road or your last game was at home, and then it flips, right? So now you go from road to road or you go from home to road, but you're not playing in the same venue 2 nights in a row. Those games are 10-3 to the over this season. This season, if a total is 10 points less than the previous total of the last game, those games are 32-18 to the over. That 64% says that this game goes over as well. 10-3 is something like above 68, 69%. And the reason why I talked about the total just a little bit is because we got to remember that this total was a lot lower, right? Orlando, Washington last night was 239, 238. And that did get over. Now you see this total come all the way down to 224.5. I just think that Orlando, they probably gonna feel it. I think a little bit more. The defense is gonna take a toll having to travel from road to home. Philly's defense is not as stout without Joel Embiid, and I also feel like they are going to be extremely motivated, which is why I kind of stayed off the side in this game. Read a lot of the quotes from Tyrese Maxey. He was really, really frustrated. For anybody who watched that game against the Heat the other day, Maxey could not make a shot. They had a long, spurt where they couldn't make a shot in that game. Maxey, I want to say, shot 4 for 20 from the field. He was really, really frustrated at himself. I do think that he bounces back in a big way today. We know that the Magic really struggle against guards. Jordan Poole actually had a season-high 32 points yesterday. So I'll be looking at Maxey props in this game, but specifically, I took the full game over 25.5, and I would still endorse it. It's moved 3 points, but I don't think that that's, too major in this spot. And that's the way I would look to play this one is the over, the full game over. Not really sure what happens with the side, but I do think that Philly comes to play in this spot. Probably disappointed in the way that they lost. And I say all that to say this. Even with Philly going on the long drought, I think they went 4 or 5 minutes without a basket on that Christmas Day game against Miami. That game still went over. It still went over. So that's even more of a reason why I like the over in this spot as well today. Like I said, I jumped in at 225, probably about 1 a.m. this morning, maybe 1:15. So those are my thoughts. Let me go to the chat real quick, see what you guys are on in this game. And then we'll keep it moving. What up, Navi? Pulled up on me as always. Tasha says, man, I hope none of y'all she says, I know y'all have hopes in Detroit, but they're a waste. However, I did bet against them and took team total over in the cash. Yeah, so last night was the super desperation spot. I talked about liking Detroit to cover the spread. They did cover the spread last night. It was 6.5. It opened at 7. Ended up closing at 6. They did cover. They lost by 6 points last night. So if you took Detroit, in a game where they were trying not to make the record books for all the wrong reasons, you did cash last night. Let's see. Yeah, the Pels were terrible last night. NLMB says Ja owns the Pelicans. That is absolutely right as well. S. says gave Heat the day off today. Rob. Okay. Good afternoon to who they. Hobby Noble says, what's good, Chris? Grab Mikal Bridges under every stat SGP at plus 1,200. All lines removed. Just something light with almost everyone out on a back-to-back. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that game here in a second. We definitely get to that game in a second. Audio good. Raptors fan says loud and clear. Brian says the same thing. What's up, Sean? Appreciate you for being here. Jay Chips as well. Markel, my guy, appreciate you for pulling up. Hobby says I also cast your lean on the Jazz minus the 1. Yeah, that Jazz play was a play that you close your eyes and you cover your nose and you just press the button with your opposite hand and you just because you do want to fade the Spurs, man. It's hard to do it with the Jazz, but the Jazz did have a full lineup yesterday. So the Jazz were good money yesterday. He also took Detroit plus the 7. He says thanks to Bridges. And you, as always, my guy. Yeah, I'm glad you cashed those. Those were just leans for me, but I'm glad you cashed them. Young Harlow says, appreciate the Pels minus 2.5. Won a few hundred laying that with the Thunder and the Magic. Okay. Let's see. What's up, SK? Will Jackson says, Chris, my brother, please tell me you followed your first mind and play OKC first half. I didn't even play it. Well, I actually went like 4-0, 4-1, maybe 5-1 yesterday on all the plays that I talked about, but I didn't even play it. Well, I'm glad you cashed it, though. I am glad you cashed. Definitely, your read on the Pels was sharp. Just locked in, back a regular page. What's up? Daniel says, still haven't forgotten the Pels for selling that under versus conference teams. If they're up 3, after 3, they're 5-10 fourth quarter money line, losing by an average of 9 points. So watch out for that. Yeah, somebody DM'd me mentioned me on Twitter last night, and the Pels just can't close. They literally can't close a game, but it is what it is, man. Locked and loaded sportscast says, I'm gonna stay off the Pels for a minute. You play them early, you just lay off them late. New start time, permanent thing, or just for the holiday? Just for the holidays, SK. Just for the holidays. I like being able to have the evenings to myself, just because I've been having a few other things I needed to do in the evenings, and that's the case for today as well. So I'm not gonna spend too much time on these games. John David says, happy Wednesday, my brother. Let's cash Patience Smoke. 1.5 units for me on that team total. I'm gonna need that bag. Absolutely, David. John likes the Sixers on the money line. NLMB says, will Maxey make the shot? I think so. I think Maxey comes out early in this spot. I'm not sure what his first quarter points is, but I'll be looking towards Maxey. A lot of those shots that he missed wasn't necessarily for the Miami Heat, from the Miami Heat defense. It was a lot of just in and out. And you can tell he was extremely frustrated. Those are shots that he makes more times than not. Avery likes Philly on the money line and plus the 2.5. He says, I like Philly in this matchup. They played the Heat very competitive on Christmas Day matchup. I agree as well. David says 72 watching, 28 likes, man. Don't start being musty, y'all. Yeah, hit the like button for me if you can. It definitely helps with the algorithm. Let's see. Estai says Magic first half over as well. He likes that first half and the first half over. Locked and loaded sportscast said I'm on 76ers money line. Magic versus a good team of late are not good. And even without Embiid, they got some ballers and they are traveling from across the country. Okay. Let's see. Avery says everybody looking at how Philly is 0-4 without Embiid and thinks it's going to be easy to take the Magic. Not so fast. Coop says he likes Milton in this spot. PRA, his points for rebounds and assists over 21.5. Surprising he gets more value when Embiid is out. Also on road games on 1 day's rest so far for the season, he's averaging 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists. That's probably a good look. One thing we know about the Magic is they're susceptible to giving up points to guards, which is why I kind of like Maxey. I think you're getting a good buy low number with Milton in this spot as well. D'Anthony Milton should be good money today as well. Let's see. Avery says Magic is on the back-to-back with travel. I think the Magic team is going to regress going into the new year. I expect Mo Bamba to have a great game. Also, Tobias Harris, who played for the Magic. Yeah, I saw that. So Mo Bamba is extremely excited. I read that article as well. He's extremely excited to play against this old team. I think this is his first game playing against them where he's going to actually play big minutes because he was on the Lakers and he didn't play big minutes. But I read an article as well talking about his brothers. He was going to Jalen Suggs' mom house to eat lunch and a whole bunch of other stuff I was reading on. But yeah, so I could definitely see that. Let's see. I can't get to all the comments because y'all going crazy in the comment section. Raptors fan says, I'm leaning Orlando -2. I want to know what you think about it. I don't really have a strong look on it, Raptors fan. Like I said, this is one thing that kind of talked me off this season when you got unrested teams returning from as a short home favorite of 3 points or less, but they don't have rest. Those teams are 1-5 straight up and against the spread, 5-1 to the over. To me, that tells me over, and I just stayed off the side. EQ says he can't trust Embiid without Philly. And I think like I said, I think it's just going to be a tough game. I definitely think it's going to be a tough game for sure. Let's see. So many missed free throws at the end of that Pistons barely covered. Yeah, that is a fact. Michael says Tyus Jones over 19.5. We'll get to that game in a second. Just join. You on Maxey? No, I'm not on Maxey. But if I had a player prop that I was playing in this game, it would definitely be Maxey. Buffalo says, will your show from now on be at 3 p.m. Eastern? No, it will not. Just for the holidays, probably just for this week. And then next week, I'll go back to the 5 p.m. Eastern slot time. But just trying to do something a little earlier. give out the show give out the information a little bit more as well. Like I said, a morning show is coming, just haven't gotten it yet. Enough time on that game. Raptors and Wizards are up next. So Raptors are opened at 6.5 point favorites, which is absolutely insane to me. Now you see them all the way up to 7.5. They are 8 at some places as well. This total opened at 239. It's up to 241, 240. It looks like it's the consensus. This Raptors team has been absolutely atrocious. They're 3-9 straight up on the road. So it's crazy that they land 6.5 points, 7 points, 8 points in this spot. They're just 5-7 against the spread. They're 2-8 in their last 10 games as well. In their last 10, they've actually lost 3 in a row and failed to cover all 3 of those spreads. They do have the big rest advantage in this spot. And I think that is indicative of that. And of course, Kyle Kuzma being listed as questionable is indicative of why this number is so big. Because like I said, the Raptors, they're just 3-9 straight up on the road. They've only covered 2 of their last 10 games, and they've lost 3 in a row and failed to cover all 3 of them. And now they're on the road, almost supposed to win this game by double digits in this spot. But like I said, I think it's a big part of it is because of the rest disadvantage. They have 3 days of rest in this spot, whereas Washington is on the second leg of a back-to-back. You look at Washington, they haven't really been great either. They're 2-9 straight up at home, 3-8 against the spread. Head-to-head, the Raptors did beat them 111-107 back on November the 13th in Toronto. If you guys have been rocking with me since then, you know that we were on the Toronto Raptors in the third quarter. No, we took the Washington Wizards team total under in the third quarter after they came out and got absolutely blitzed by the Washington Wizards early in that game. I thought Toronto would step up in that spot, and they did. I'm not somebody that can, lay points with the Raptors. That's just something that I can't do. They were in a really good spot the other day as well. I talked about them playing against the Utah Jazz. They lost that game outright as a favorite. Now you see them on the road as a favorite. Not something that I'm willing to do. What I do like in this game, though, is it's a player prop that I like, and then there's also the total. I wrote down, didn't quite get there, and actually I'm kind of glad I didn't. And it's the over. The total in this one was 239 when it opened. I wrote down the over last night. And it's for a couple different reasons. So first thing is, in the past 7 seasons, I looked at road favorites that have 3 days or more rest facing an unrested opponent. And those teams are 10-2 to the over. That's 83.3%. So last 7 seasons, road favorites with 3 days of rest playing an unrested team, 10-2 to the over, 83.3%. The other thing I looked at was the Raptors as road favorites. It's only happened twice this season. They're 2-0 to that spot this season. The Wizards, 6-3-1 to the over as home dogs. And then one more thing I looked at was road favorites off a loss, off 2 losses, off 3 losses, and they're having to win now by 5 points or more, and they have more rest than their opponent. They're 15-7 to the over. That's 68%. So you see these, it's really weird, and you don't see it too often where you see a road favorite that's laying more than 5 points, and it's also coming off 3 straight losses. But like I said, 15-7 to the over. You could just look towards the Raptors team total to go over. This offense is a little too inconsistent for me, but it makes sense because the Washington Wizards play at such a fast pace. So that's the way I was looking at the total. The total did go up to 241, 240 at some books. I need Kuzma to be in order to play it because he means so much to this offense. He is their best offensive player by far. So I'm glad I did kind of stay off. I didn't play the over 240, but that's the way I would look in this one and probably just kind of stay away from the spread. These are tough games today. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. The other thing I'm looking at in this game is Daniel Gafford. Probably somebody that I haven't bet on throughout the entirety of the season. But last night, I didn't even check the numbers today. Last night, his rebounds was at 7.5, minus 106 on FanDuel. Back-to-back games, including one this season and one last season against the Toronto Raptors specifically. He's had 8 rebounds and 9 rebounds against Toronto. I was actually looking at his double-double, just maybe a sprinkle, maybe, like 0.2 units. The Raptors just give it up to opposing big men. We know that. Like Jokic just had 15 rebounds. Daniel Gafford's actually been balling. He had a double-double last night. I want to say he had like 13 and 13. And I do think, and that was against Orlando, a much better team. They don't really have a backup center outside of, like Mike Muscala, who's not going to do much. So I do think, Daniel Gafford, his double-double was plus 320 was the best odds that I saw last night on FanDuel. I think it might be worth a little sprinkle. Just didn't quite get there. Daniel Gafford over 7.5 rebounds. Also something I'm looking at in this game. And those are my only thoughts. Let me see what you guys are on in the chat. Matthew Bailey likes Kelly Oubre over his points. I know he went over in that last game. He was set at 15.5. I want to say he had 20 plus in that game, so I couldn't talk you off there. EQ says Raptors lately have been just as bad, if not worse, than the Wizards. I agree. When I was looking at the net rating, I think they both was like a minus 5.7 or something like that in their last 5 games. Brian says Wizards first quarter minus 2.5. I think he means plus 2.5. He says they do start out fast. Yeah, this is the spot that we took the other day with the Wizards. So second leg of a back-to-back. They had just came off the game against the Portland Trail Blazers. They were playing against the Golden State Warriors. And I said if they do run out of gas, which they did end up covering the 12 and got a push on the 11, I said if they run out of gas, it'll be in the second half. This Wizards team is pretty young. You got guys like Corey Kispert out there, guys like Denny Avdia, Bilal Kumbawale. They're a pretty young team. Even Jordan Poole is still really, really young in this spot. But you do want, in my estimation, you kind of do want, Kyle Kuzma out there because their offense can get a little stale. They play at such a fast pace. Steve says, I doubt the Raptors win a game for the rest of the month. Cool. He says he took Daniel Gafford, points, rebounds, and assists over 21.5. I don't think that is a bad look at all, Coop. That's the way I'd be looking in this game as well. He says 7.5 is too low for Gafford. Talk in his opinion. Speaking about the rebounds, I agree. What's up, Keith? Appreciate you for tapping in. Raptors fan says, I like OG in this game. I'm taking his points over 14.5. I could see that, Raptors fan. You are a Raptors fan, so you would know who to play and who to stay off of. Steve says, I see the Raptors losing to the Wizards, the Celtics, and the Pistons this week. That's a lot to swallow. And it definitely could happen, man. I don't know, man. We're not going to get into the Pistons today, but yeah, I got a lot of thoughts on this Pistons team. Buffalo says, keep it simple. Raptors and Bucks money line parlay, minus 115. Man, I don't know. Raptors should win, but I can't trust the Raptors, honestly. Just because you land 7.5 on the road don't necessarily mean you're going to win the game. Think about the Kings last night. Keith says he took Jordan Poole assists at 3.5 juice. He says Raptors shrink the floor and leave the corners 3 wide open. Raps give up 98 assists in the last 3 games. Also took Malachi Flynn over 9.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Daniel Gafford double. I think he means double, and Gary Trent Jr. threes. Okay. Jared likes Siakam 24.5. He says smashed him. And he says, Keith says OG 6'7" at 240. I don't know who is guarding him tonight, but his usage is around the same as Gary Trent and Malachi Flynn this month. Jared also says Siakam 24.5 smashed them for 39 earlier this year and missed a lot of bunnies last game. I would agree there. Siakam should have a big game, and they don't really have anybody that can guard him. So I couldn't talk anybody off Siakam props in this game, but they're just too inconsistent of a team for me. All right, so next game up, let's go to Brooklyn. So Brooklyn just got back from Detroit last night. Man, Brooklyn was struggling last night in the first quarter for anybody who had a chance to watch that game. Brooklyn actually got down by, I want to say, 14 points in the first quarter, and they said, "Oh no, not us. we can't let this team get their first win against us in quite some time." So now you this line actually opened last night when I was capping the game. It was 3.5. The total was 240. Now you guys see it's all the way up to 7, and the total has not really moved a lot. It's kind of all over the place. I see some 240s out there. I see some 240.5, some 241s. So the total is moving just a tad bit, and it's really for all the injuries. For people who don't know, Dorian Finney-Smith listed as questionable in this game. Nick Claxton's already been ruled out for injury maintenance. Spencer Dinwiddie's out. Cam Johnson is out. The Bucks, I thought the line was a little sharp last night at 3.5. And the opposite side, we got it. Like the big thing about this game is Giannis still hasn't been ruled in necessarily quite yet. The Bucks are not the same team on the road as they are at home. I think that's something to take into consideration. It's typically their offense. Their offense is not as good on the road. We know that they don't play defense no matter if they're at home or on the road. I got the Bucks at 6-6 on the road, straight up and against the spread. This is the third game of a 4-game road trip for Milwaukee. They did come off the terrible loss on Christmas Day against the Knicks, and they play in Cleveland on Friday. Brooklyn, you can kind of throw the numbers out the window in this spot. 11-4-1 against the spread at home, but they're just 3-7 in their last 10 games. And also like a really bad travel spot for Brooklyn. They played Detroit last night. They come home for 1 game. Then they got to go back on the road to play in DC on Friday. So, I mean, not necessarily like that you're looking forward to looking ahead to the Wizards. But like I said, they do got that game in DC, and they got a couple more road games. So we always talk about, not playing in the same arena, over and over and over again. And that's a spot for Brooklyn, at least recently. They also had to exert a lot of energy last night to get that win in Detroit, man. I don't know if people watched the game, but Cade Cunningham was putting on a show last night. Bridges, Dinwiddie, and Dorian Finney-Smith all played over 33 minutes. It wouldn't surprise me if Dorian Finney-Smith also sat out in this game, which leads me to this. It's got to be Cam Thomas, right? Like, who else? Cam Thomas, I think, on the points, and I think Day'Ron Sharpe on the rebounds. Day'Ron Sharpe had a double-double last night, and that was with that was with Nicholas Claxton in the game. So I don't if Giannis gets ruled in, the spread's probably going to go up to about 8.5, 9 is what I'm thinking. But I'm not sure if Giannis is going to play in this spot, especially with Brooklyn kind of resting all their players. The Bucks don't have a game tomorrow, so they don't really have to, they can give Giannis the day off in this spot, and they still should be able to win. Although I could see Cam Thomas going for about 40 in this game and making it a little more difficult than they, than expected. Brooklyn also just got what's his name? The other guard, I can't think of his name. They also got the other guard, Dennis Smith Jr. They got Dennis Smith Jr. back as well. Mikal Bridges will still be in for this game. I think Chris Middleton is ruled in because there's no injury implications for him in this spot. I'll be looking at Brook Lopez to go over his blocks. I'll be looking at I'm not touching the spread because one thing that the Bucks don't do is they don't win by margin on the road in any game. So, maybe a team total over for them. But that's the way I'm looking. Initially, what I had written in my notes last night before all the injury news was the over 240. Brooklyn 3-0 to the over when they're unrested. Milwaukee 8-4 to the over on the road. And then I kind of talked about it earlier, but unrested teams coming off a road game and now they're back at home 16-10 to the over this season. That's 61.5% says that those games go over. If you're hitting 61% of your bets, you can start doing this for a living. So those are my thoughts. I didn't play anything in this game, but that's the way I'm kind of looking. Let's see. Bitsy likes Kyle Kuzma over his 2.5 turnovers. Had 6 last night. Anticipate a fast-paced matchup again. Maxey props over bounce back game. I already talked about that, Buffalo. I would be taking Maxey over while I stay off of him. I think he has a big game today. Probably looking towards Maxey over his first quarter points prop is what I would be looking at. Cam Thomas points. What do you think? Absolutely, shout out. I mean, outside of Cam Thomas might shoot the ball 30 times a night. We know that the Bucks like to play with extremely fast pace. They also don't play a lot of defense. So yeah, Cam Thomas to the moon. Also be looking towards Cam Thomas to go under his assist because he's not passing the ball. Let's see. Coop says, man, if I avoided a trap or missed a dip, saw in real time, Cam Thomas points opened at 24.5, dropped to 21.5 after the injury news, jumped to 26.5. Stay off of it. So Coop saying stay away from it now. Jeremiah says that he likes Scotty Barnes over his 1.5 steals at plus money. It's interesting. He says he had 5 the last game versus the Wizards. Also, his points plus rebounds at 32.5. It could be a big game for him, Jeremiah. I could definitely see Scotty Barnes turning up in this spot. Not a lot of resistance on the Washington side, especially on the second leg of a back-to-back. Michael says Tyus Jones cashed his points plus assists over 19.5. Coop says leans Dennis Smith Jr. points, rebounds, and assists as a pivot if he gets listed. He absolutely should be listed because he's probably going to start for Spencer Dinwiddie. So I would agree here, Coop. He could have a big game. He absolutely could in this spot. Let's see. Bridges is out with rest. I don't see Bridges being listed out. Is Bridges listed out with rest as well? I don't see Bridges out. I don't think Bridges got ruled out. I could be wrong. S-Dot says Bucks first half. I could definitely see them coming out. Theoretically, the Nets should run out of gas at the end of the first half, and it should be a Bucks second half spot. But I could see this also cashing S-Dot. Bucks probably got a bad taste in their mouth from getting smoked on Christmas Day, giving up 130 points to the Knicks. So I could definitely see that. Buffalo says he took Cam Thomas under his 2.5 assists at plus 130. Number is low, but he not passing and it correlates with the Buckets to win. With the Bucks to win, I think. Okay, I can see that. Tariq says you think the Bucks money line is a trap without Giannis? They're a whole different team. Man, I haven't seen the Bucks play. I can't remember the Bucks playing too much this season without Giannis. To know, I just know he means a lot to the team. I stay off the money line though. If like depending on if Giannis is ruled out, this line is still probably gonna come down to probably like Bucks minus. They're still gonna be favorites in this game. It'll probably come back down to like -4, -3.5 is what I would think. I do think Giannis influences the line that much. You just get an old-fashioned track meet if that's the case. The Bucks don't play enough defense for me to feel like I want to lay points with them, especially if they don't got Giannis. I don't care who they're playing against and what the situation is. Let's see. Brian says Bucks team total over first quarter and first half. Michael says Bobby Portis should have a big game. He absolutely should. Yeah, a little early. Appreciate you for pulling up on me, LJ. He says I'm early today. Raptors fan says Bobby Portis double. Only thing I'm leaning. Let's see. Jared says games like this are games you wish Lonnie Walker was healthy for Brooklyn. Absolutely. Yeah, this would be a big Lonnie Walker type game for sure. Socks and Sneak says Bucks drop coverage. Cam Thomas may score 50. I would agree. We absolutely know Brook Lopez don't want to be out there on that perimeter. He like somebody in quicksand out there trying to guard some of those guards. You saw it with Tyrese Halliburton not too long ago. EQ says he got a feeling that Maxey goes crazy for 30. I could definitely see that. Estat says Royce O'Neal over 2.5 assists, 17 for 25 at this number. I think this is a good number, Estat. Royce O'Neal can really dish that rock, man. I watched him play. He only played limited minutes last night. I think it was like 13. But the minutes that I was watching, he was dishing that rock last night. He had 2 quick early assists in those limited minutes. So I could definitely see him going over this line. I think that's a sneaky look, but I love it a lot. Royce O'Neal over his 2.5 assists. Estat. All right, let's see. I got to get back to the games. Chizzy, I think is how you pronounce that. He says, you think most of the starters, they take Bridges out early to keep his game streaks played a lot? I don't think so. Bridges is a gamer. I don't think they're going to take him out just for that. I don't think so. I could be wrong, but honestly, I'm not 100% sure either. So don't take what I say into consideration. Ski Roy says Bucks over 240, which is how I'm looking in this spot as well. Will Jackson says no Giannis. Got to look at Bobby Portis props. I agree. My girl Midwest Slot Diva says 112 in the room, gaining expert knowledge, 53 likes. Please smash the button. Appreciate you, Midwest Slot Diva. Let's see. A couple more real quick. Tariq says they beat the Raptors. I'm thinking he meant without Giannis. Dame had like 35. Chris was coming back, more healthier and better D now. I thought, but Cam had 40 last game. They played the Bucks. Yeah, maybe if Giannis doesn't play, you take Dame to score 35, and you take Cam to score 35 as well, and you just parlay the two together, put a little bit of change on it, something real small, and see what happens. Malik says, Chris, what's up, my guy? I like Avdia over his 5.5 rebounds. Couldn't talk you off. Then the Avdia is he low key like a power forward he's a small forward that they put a power forward. I couldn't talk you off. Keith says Royce O'Neal is amongst the leaders in full court length passes. We saw the Knicks take advantage of the Bucks in transition. Gotta lean towards Royce O'Neal over his rebounds and assists, and I would absolutely agree with you on that one, Keith. John says Poole just dropped 30 versus the Magic. Maxey about to turn up. I would agree. I talked about that. All right, so let's get into it, man. We got a few more games to get through. We got Knicks and we got Thunder in this next one. Line actually opened at 2.5 in favor of the home favorite Oklahoma City Thunder. The line is now moved to 3. And this total has gone up from 238.5 up to 240. Some 240.5s out there as well. Man, so let me start with the precaution to this. Everything I bet on the Knicks go opposite, right? Whatever, I was thinking about this the other day, and I was telling somebody, whatever I bet for the Knicks, it goes the opposite way. If I bet the Knicks to score, they can't score. And as evident when they got locked up by the Bucks the game before the Christmas Day game on Saturday, they just couldn't make a shot. I bet the Knicks not to score, they score. I bet the Knicks to win, they lose. I bet the Knicks to lose, they win. I bet them to not cover, they cover. So I don't know what to do with Knicks games. I know that they're I wouldn't say that they're a really good team. I would say that they are okay right now. I think that the missing Mitchell Robinson is going to take a big toll on them. But I really don't know what to do with their games, man. I do think that the Thunder are the better team in this spot. Thunder coming off a really, really big win, though. They wanted that game last night. You can kind of tell the way that they were playing against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves had kind of owned them, like we talked about. So could they potentially be looking ahead in this spot. They do got a big matchup against the Denver Nuggets. We know that they just beat Denver with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander hitting the game winner. That was about 2 weeks ago, and that game was in Denver. This is the last game of a 5-game road trip for them, a 5-game homestand for them as well. For the Knicks, this team is just so inconsistent. It's the first game of a 3-game road trip for them. They fly back across country and play south to play in Orlando on Friday. And they're coming off a pretty big win against the Milwaukee Bucks. Could they regress to the mean in this spot? Absolutely. OKC, like I said, second game off of a back-to-back and fifth and final game of a homestand. Like I said, they got the game against Denver coming up. So I don't really know what to do with this one. If I'm playing the trends, I'm playing OKC in the first half. This is where they've been really, really good. They're the best offense, one of the best offense, if not the best offensive team in the first half over the last 5 games. They could potentially run out of gas in the second half, even though that's not like they're a young team and they typically don't. I just can't trust New York without Mitchell Robinson. I think that when I think about the strength of the New York Knicks, I think about them being a really gritty, hard-nosed defensive team, and I think about them being able to really kill you on the boards. They haven't really been able to do that. Like I was looking at the numbers, their games are averaging about 244 points without Mitchell Robinson versus with Mitchell Robinson in, it's a lot lower than that. I'm talking about like 10, 15 points lower. So they're playing at a much faster pace. They're giving up a ton of more points, like 100 plus, 120 plus in pretty much every single game outside of the last one against the Bucks. So should they regress back to the mean here in this spot? I don't believe that the defense is this good. We know OKC offense is really, really good. So I think OKC in the first half would be the best number here. Also couldn't talk anybody off the full game over. But for the full game to go over, you need to know that the Knicks are going to make shots. RJ Barrett just came off a game where he went absolutely crazy. The game before that, RJ Barrett had like 5 points, right? Do we get the consistency from RJ Barrett, from another big game from Jalen Brunson as well? And Julius Randle should be in for a really good matchup in this spot. But does their bench come to play, right? Does Josh Hart make plays? What game do we get from Quickly? Is it going to be like a 17-point game where he goes 5, where he hits 4 or 5 threes? Or is it going to be one of those games from Quickly where he finishes with 5 points? I can't cap this Knicks team. They're probably the most inconsistent team, and I'm tired of wasting my money, betting Knicks games. So I do kind of lean, really, really close to getting there with OKC in the first half. I think, just on the second leg of the back-to-back, maybe they run out of gas in the second half, but not anything that I bet. I think OKC is the right side in this game, but like I said, I didn't bet it. Didn't bet it at all. Let me see what y'all got in the chat. Let's see. What up, Justin? Appreciate you for pulling up. My guy, locked and loaded sportscaster. This is a tough game. He leans Knicks. Jeremiah says he likes Chet over his 8.5 rebounds. He says Knicks since Robinson been out are bottom 5 in rebound rate, and Chet is their main guy on the glass. I can see that. Skeet Roy says Knicks +9. I'm not sure where you got that number from. That's probably part of a parlay. Brian says, I trust the Thunder more than the Knicks. It's Thunder for me again. Let's go. I would also lean Thunder in this spot, man, especially, being their 5th straight home game. Like I said, it's a bit of a sandwich spot, but I do kind of lean OKC, specifically in the first half, which is where they play their best basketball. NLMB says he likes OKC on the money line. And going back a game, Buffalo says he took Gafford at 2 turnovers. He says the Raptors are great at stripping the ball from opposing big men. And Gafford turns the ball over at a decent amount. At +170, he couldn't pass it up. Best of luck to you, my guy. Raptors fan coming back with some Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He says he likes his rebounds and assists. Over 11.5 is what he's liking. Also like Randall rebounds as well. I couldn't talk you off of those spots. Not a game I feel super confident in, but if I had one top play, it'd be OKC in the first half. It would definitely be OKC in the first half. Again, I know they did cover it yesterday, but I can see them covering again in this spot. 2 more games to get through. Let's get through them. So Suns and the Raptors are next. This line actually opened with the Suns as 1-point road favorites. This line is actually up to 3 now. 3.5 on Heritage as well. The total is 225.5. 224.5. It was at 225 last night. So it's kind of bouncing around. Injury news, really, really big in this spot. So for Phoenix, really, if you just faded them the whole time Nurkic was out, I think he missed 2 or 3 games. You made a lot of money because they literally can't stop anybody without Nurkic being in there. They don't have a backup center, and I think that's a testament to what Drew Eubanks was able to do or lack thereof in the last game. And for Houston, we're starting to see this team regress a little bit as well. They lost that game last night. This is the thing for Houston with me, and this is what I'm noticing with Houston, because Houston has really, really struggled over the last few games, with winning in spots that they're supposed to win. Houston lost. They beat New Orleans, and then they beat Dallas, but that was a shorthanded Dallas team. In the loss against the Cleveland Cavaliers last week, and the loss against the Atlanta Hawks, and this was a home loss against the Atlanta Hawks, and in the loss against the Pacers, what I'm finding out is that the way you beat this team is you got to really be able to score the ball. You've really got to be able to score the ball. The Pacers last night, Tyrese Halliburton made more threes than the whole team did. Their starting lineup, I want to say, hit 2 threes, and they shot 5 for 20 something from the 3-point line and finished shooting the ball about 20% from the 3-point line last night. You're not going to beat teams like that. You're really relying too heavily upon your defense, in my estimation, when you need the game to go, when you need it to be that slow. When you needed to be played that slow. Houston is not a great offensive team. Jabari Smith Jr., really inconsistent. We talked about him yesterday, how he had 3 games where he was kind of killing it. He comes all the way back down to earth last night. He shoots 4 for 11 from the field, 0 for 5 from the 3-point line. And we're playing against the Indiana Pacers here, one of the worst defensive teams in the league. Outside of Alfred Sengun, who's been absolutely killing it, he had 30 and 16 last night. And Fred VanVleet, they don't really have a lot of consistency scoring the ball. So to me, that kind of things, it makes me want to lean towards the under, because I do think that while the Phoenix Suns defense has been really, really bad recently, you get a fresh Nurkic back, and as long as he's locked in and the Rockets and the Suns are locked in this spot, then they should want to lean a little bit more on their defense in this spot. But it wasn't enough for me to bet it. It absolutely wasn't. Tyrese Halliburton hit 7 threes last night. He shot 7 for 13 by himself and made seven threes. They made 19 as a team. The Rockets made 5 for 24, shot 21%. Fred VanVleet was actually the only starter to hit a 3. He shot 1 for 7. And we talked about this yesterday. Jalen Green actually got benched yesterday. He only played 19 minutes. I talked about liking this under. That's 8 straight games he's actually going under his points prop in a row, and probably should have played it every single game, and I didn't. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with the lineup in this one. Also, Dylan Brooks is listed as questionable in this game. He left the game yesterday with some kind of ab injury. I wasn't watching when he left. I turned the game on afterwards, so I didn't really see any update on his status for this game. And real quick, let me see. It looks like he is very unlikely to play. So Dylan Brooks being ruled out, to me, that makes me want to go more towards the over. I mean, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Eric Gordon, Grayson Allen, eventually they got to want to play defense. I mean, they got to want to score the ball, right? And I do think that Houston on the second leg of a back-to-back, I kind of gave you guys the numbers already, but those teams on the second leg of a back-to-back, their games are going over in this spot. So I think Phoenix could be, their team total could be the right side in this game. If I had one top look, that's the way I would look. 113.5. I also think, taking into consideration that the Houston Rockets played against the fastest paced team in the Indiana Pacers yesterday, is something you got to take into consideration. So one thing I looked at was this season, teams that are playing the Pacers, teams that have just played the Pacers in their last game, they're 18-11 to the over. That's 62%. But in the next game, but if you played the Pacers and you're on 0 days rest, you are 3-0 to the over. Those games are going over by 21 points. And each team has allowed the opposing team to go over their team total in this spot. So I think Phoenix, we know that they got a ton of offense with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. And if they're tired of losing, which they should be, I think this is the spot where we take their team total over. It's in my best slip. I haven't placed it yet. Phoenix team total over 113.5 would be my top look in this game, and the way I would play this one, just to kind of stay away from the spread. I think they could score in this spot, especially with the Rockets being on the second leg of a back-to-back and Dylan Brooks potentially being ruled out in this one. So those are my thoughts on this one. Real quick, let me go to the comment section and take a sip of water. If you guys, that total for Philly and Orlando going all the way up to 229 now. I talked about it earlier, still being okay getting in 228, even though I got it at 225. I think 230 points going to be scored between Philly and Orlando tonight. Also, if you join late, hit the like button for me if you can. Subscribe to the show. Tell your friends. Tell your best friend, your cousin, your auntie, everybody. Let's see what you guys got here. So let's see. Coop says, "Do you feel this is a desperation spot for the Suns?" I do, Coop. I do think it's a super desperation spot. The Suns are bad. I don't know if they're this bad though. Yesterday I talked about Frank Vogel not even sending the double team at Luka. I'm not sure what they're doing out there and why you wouldn't send a double at Luka to make Grant Williams and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Seth Curry beat you and Dante Exum. But eventually they're gonna turn it around. It's got to be a super desperation spot. This team is absolutely beginning smoked. They got smoked by the Kings. They got smoked by Denver. I'm sorry, by Dallas. And we got to remember the Dallas game was a little bit more because it's a super like Christmas in front of your home crowd. You just kind of want a little bit more of a better showing. So I do think it's a tad bit of a desperation spot. The problem is Houston have also started regress and they lost yesterday. So off a loss, Udoka gonna have those guys fired up as well. So I'm not sure what to do with the game, if I'm being honest, Coop. But I do think that, no Dillon Brooks, second leg of a back-to-back, after chasing the Pacers around, you probably shouldn't be at your best defensive efforts. Like I said, teams are 3-0 to the over after you play the Pacers and you have 0 days rest in the next game. So those are my thoughts. I would agree with the total coming up in this spot. Avery says Suns money line -134 for him. Everybody's so high on the Rockets team. I'm not. I was on the Pacers last night and I cashed. Give them credit, but this team was about to hit a regression wall as well. They are overachieving. Yeah, they have been overachieving just a tad bit. Also, I think, when looking at the Rockets in retrospect, the Rockets really had that homestand where they played 7 or 8 games in a row at the crib. I don't know if people remember it or not. Probably about a month and a half ago, maybe a month ago, they had 7 or 8 games in a row. A couple of those games were against the Kings when De'Aaron Fox was out. And then they had they had some cupcakes in there. They played a Denver team that also was super injury prone. So yeah, they are due to regress a little bit. Let's see. Raptors fan says he likes Houston plus the 3 here. He says they're 6-4 against the spread in their last 10, and I believe that the Rockets will want to slow the game down and play at their own pace and use their defense to beat the Suns. The problem with that though is Raptors fans that what defense do you have? I mean, Fred VanVleet's a really good defender, but can he guard Devin Booker? I'm not 100% sure. They're not going to have anybody to throw at Devin Booker. And Jabari Smith Jr. going to have his hands full trying to guard KD as well. So, and you get Nurkic back. So, Nurkic being super fresh, I'm not sure, man. Avery says the Rockets play great defense, but can they score? They can't, Avery. That's the thing, right? He said you saw last night the Pacers was letting them get anything that they wanted, but they just couldn't keep up. And I would agree there. Locked in, loaded. Sportscast says some frustration brewing in Suns locker room. KD getting frustrated, but the Rockets can struggle offensively, like you're saying. I won't invest in it, but I lean Suns. I agree. I think the Suns. I don't want to take the. If I take the Suns, I'm taking them on the money line. I'm not laying 3 with them on the road. But I could definitely see him covering the number. It's just not a spot that I feel super confident in. Let's see. LJ. Here we got some H-Town insight here. He says, "Yo, Chris, I'm going to interview Jalen Green tonight at the game to get his perspective on his lack of production, but his lack of defense may be the issue because if you notice, he doesn't finish games." Yeah, they've been putting Tari Eason in there to finish. Yeah, maybe even looking at, even if Jalen Green has a good game to start, potentially looking at his points prop live at halftime, he could potentially still go under. So because he's not in that finishing unit. I've been noticing that as well, LJ. Absolutely agree there. That's some good insight there. Bessie says, FYI, Chris, Nets resting all their vets apart from Bridges to keep his streak. That's what I thought. Somebody said that Bridges was out. I didn't think he was out. I didn't see Bridges get listed out. He said they pull him straight after he starts, like Cole Anthony last season, might be an unders or stay away for Bridges. Yeah, I would definitely not be looking towards his over. The books probably know that as well now, too. Sosa says he likes Sosa Falar. Says he likes the Suns' first half on the money line. Shadow says, does Bridges still have the streak going for consecutive games play? I think he does. Super Kel says that Dillon Brooks is out with an oblique injury. And Jeremiah likes Sengun over his rebounds at 14.5 plus assists. He's been going crazy and smashed the line last 3 games. If you like the over, it correlates as well. I would agree there. He's due to regress a little bit, Jeremiah, but Sengun has absolutely been cooking. He's been the one consistent guy for this team. Him, Fred VanVleet, and sprinkle of Jabari Smith Jr. in there as well. Jared says, I think this is going crazy. I think this is a go crazy spot for Booker, especially with no Brooks. Taking a chance and laddering his threes to 4+. I can see that as well. Even though the Houston Rockets are really good 3-point defense. Yesterday they were not, but they are 3-point defense. S-Dot likes the Suns in the first quarter with that desperation. Couldn't talk you off there. John says, Avery, love the look on Eric Gordon here. So Avery has a look on Eric Gordon. I don't even think I saw that. Eric Gordon back in Houston. I expect him to shoot the blood out the ball tonight. No Brooks and no Dylan Brooks either. Yeah, I could see that. Couldn't talk you off of that. Could not talk you off. Let's see. Buffalo says, speaking of desperation spots, Raptors are in one right now. They dropped 3 games in a row and haven't played in a while since still angry at home. I like them to come out first quarter, first half, guns blazing. Yeah, I can't get there with the Raptors. It makes a lot of sense, but the Raptors, man. Yeah. Daniel likes KD under 1.5 threes at +135. He's only taken a total of 11 in his last 4 games. Navi says Grayson Allen threes. Could definitely see that happening. Grayson Allen shot more times than Devin Booker and KD last game. I'm not 100% sure why. But, yeah, he's going to be the guy that, especially if they try to – I'm not sure how Udoka is going to try to slow down Dylan Brooks and KD. And also, it's on them, too. Like, they have to be aggressive, and they haven't been recently. Hobby says on book 26.5 points, taking 20+ field goal attempts. Line is too low for him. Okay. All right, let's get to the last game on the board for tonight so I can get up out of here. So we got Cavs and we got Mavs. This is actually this line is down to 3 now. It was at 4 last night when I capped it. You guys see 3.5 here. And this one comes with a lot of question marks. I'm not sure what's going to happen in this game, and these are the ones that I typically stay off of until I know for sure. You got Donovan Mitchell, who did go through shoot around. He was upgraded to questionable yesterday. Probably comes back in the spot is what I'm thinking. He's going to be out there with Max Strus, Isaac Okoro, Dean Wade, Jared Allen. And then on the opposite side, you got Tim Hardaway Jr., who has now been downgraded since shoot around to questionable with an illness, I want to say. And Luka Doncic is still listed as questionable in this spot as well. And that's what makes this game so difficult, right? Also, Karis LeVert, Sam Merrill, like all of those guys for the Cleveland side are also listed as questionable. Not a game I'm super interested in. I'll tell you guys this, though. Dallas has looked good recently, man. I don't like the spot for him coming off the Christmas Day game. Luka absolutely balled out. He had 50+ points in that game. They also got a game tomorrow. So this is a spot I'm already kind of eyeing towards. They also got a game tomorrow. They actually got to play the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the Timberwolves lost yesterday by 20+ points, and they're a really good team. I'll just say that. They lost by 20+ points. They're a really good team, and I do see them kind of bouncing back tomorrow, taking advantage of a Dallas team on the second leg of a back-to-back. Probably got a bad taste in their mouth. I haven't had a chance to read through the post-game interview and hear what Coach Chris Finch and some of those guys are saying, but they got absolutely smoked yesterday. Never stood a chance in that game. They lost the first quarter, first half, and full game. So I do think we see a big effort from them tomorrow in that spot. Dallas also got to travel to Minnesota tomorrow. So the line probably going to come out. It depends on if Luka's going to play, but whatever it is, it's probably going to get even bigger throughout the day. So maybe something you want to look ahead towards after this game finishes tonight. I never recommend betting the game before one game ends, so you can kind of watch what happens in that game. But that Minnesota game should be a scheduled loss for the Dallas Mavericks in that spot. But like I said, we still don't know if Luka's going to play in this one. So it really just kind of depends on that. I will tell you guys this. Dallas has let's start with Cleveland. Cleveland has actually been a really good team, man. It's kind of weird to think that Cleveland without Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and Evan Mobley have actually won, 4 of their last 5 games? I know that the win against Atlanta he was in, but 3 of the last 4, the Cleveland Cavaliers have actually won, and they've covered the spread. Those games were actually all going over until they went to Chicago, played against a slow-paced team there. I think this game, I want to bet the over, but Dallas being on the first leg of a back-to-back tells me that they may want to play a little bit slower pace just to kind of conserve some energy tomorrow for that game against the Timberwolves. So I didn't really get there with any. Like I said, just really don't like the spot. Don't like the spot at all for the Dallas Mavericks in this one. And really need to know the news about Donovan Mitchell, Karis LeVert, and Luka Doncic. If you bet in Dallas, you got to know if he's playing or not. So spread coming down tells me that he may not be in, but not anything that I'm super locked in on at all in this one. If Luka doesn't play, we'll get really good lines for some of these other players. And then, of course, that changed the whole handicap of the game. And those are my thoughts. I'm not on any props at all. Let's see. JS Brown says D Mitch at 30.5. I would actually probably look more towards his assists, JS Brown. I think, without Darius Garland being in, he kind of had been that point guard for him when he was in. He's missed 2 or 3 games. He hasn't played since when? I don't think he played did he play in the Houston game? Yeah, he did play in the Houston game. He didn't play in the Jazz game. That's what it was. Didn't play in the Jazz game. I leaned towards the over. That game flew over the total at 226, finished at 240. So he hasn't played basketball since December the 18th in a meaningful game. It's been a week, 9 days? It's been 9-10 days since Donovan Mitchell's played basketball. He could be a tad bit rusty in this spot, but he also could go out there and, try to shoot up a bunch of shots. And I just don't have a real good feel for Donovan Mitchell in this spot. 30.5, when you haven't, been playing games, don't make me feel like something that I'm really, really comfortable, playing. I would probably look more towards his assist, thinking that he's going to be the distributor. But also, you got to take in Karis LeVert. Is Karis LeVert going to be in the starting lineup? Is he going to come off the bench and they're going to start Isaac Okoro? I'm not sure what happens in this game. And I'm not going to waste your time talking about what could be. Also, like I said, no Tim Hardaway Jr. Being downgraded to questionable, not a spot you necessarily want to back Dallas in either. So those are my thoughts in this game. Navi says, appreciate it as always, bro. Best of luck tonight. Right back at you, Navi. Appreciate that. El Sancho says, if people are on Mikal Bridges' narrative looking to play his unders, his PRA is at 32.5 for minus 120 on ESPN Bet. I appreciate you sharing that, El Sancho. And then Michael says what I said. You can't touch this game without knowing who's playing. I would absolutely agree. Didn't really look too much into it for that reason. I did see that they have the look-ahead spot tomorrow to the Minnesota Timberwolves, though, and I do not like them in that spot tomorrow. So those are my thoughts, man. Going back real quick, let's just look at every single game. I'll tell you guys what I was looking at. Go back through it real quick, and then we'll get up a few. I only see one guest. Let me know if you guys got anything you want to share. I'm going to get my guy Flo up real quick and go over what I'm looking at. So first game, like I said, Sixers and Magic. I'm not sure who wins the game, man. I do think that Sixers being 0-4 without Embiid, they're probably going to be really, really motivated in this spot. However, the Magic, I think that they can still win the game. I do think that they could win the game, so I'm staying off of the game. What I did play was the total over 225.5. Gave it out to the YouTube members early this morning, maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock, something like that. I would still play it at 228.5 as well. I do think that this game is up and down, a lot of pace, especially without Embiid being there. Orlando on the second leg of a back-to-back. I gave out the trends already for that one. Toronto, Washington, I think the sneakiest look in this game, because I'm definitely not laying the points with Toronto. You definitely need the status of Kyle Kuzma as well to see if he's going to be in this one. But I think the sneaky look in this one could be Daniel Gafford, man, over on his rebounds. The line's at 7.5. I think his double-double at 320 is also in play. So that's the way I would kind of play this one. Also lean towards the over if Kyle Kuzma is in over 240. I think this game goes over the total. Milwaukee and Brooklyn, not a game that I'm going to be invested in. Still don't know the status of Giannis. Even with the Nets kind of sitting everybody, crazy this line's already up to 7 because we still don't know if Giannis is going to play. Also lean towards the over in this game. If Giannis does play at over 240, is the way that I would look to play this one. I think it's going to be a fast-paced game. If all of those guys are out for the Nets, something tells me the Bucks defense is not going to be locked in even more than they typically are. And the Nets can still come out here and score with guys like Cam Thomas, Mikal Bridges, if he plays. Not sure if he's going to play or not. And then I'd be looking at Dayton Sharp. I think Dayton Sharp over his rebounds is going to be a good look. He's going to be down there battling with Brook Lopez. The number will probably be high, probably be, right off the rip at 11.5. But I do think it's a spot that he should be able to cash that in. And of course, Cam Thomas. You got to look at Cam Thomas. If his points prop are, is under 30, I think it's absolutely worth a look. He might shoot the ball 30 times tonight. Knicks and Thunder. OKC first half will be my top look in this game. Like I said, they've been one of the better first half teams. Don't love the spot for them today. The Knicks are so up and down. I can't put my pulse on this team. They play good, they play bad. I bet them to do one thing, they do the opposite every single time. So I'm off of this game, but I do lean towards OKC in the first half minus the 1.5. Suns and Rockets. It'd be Suns team total over the 113.5. Like I said, you coming off a game against the Pacers on the second leg of a back-to-back, had to do a lot of running up and down the floor. Phoenix should be motivated off getting smashed on the Christmas Day game against Dallas and Luka Doncic, and no Dylan Brooks. So over the 113.5 for the Phoenix team total is what I'm looking at in that spot. I haven't locked it in. And then Cavs and Mavs, nothing, because I don't know who's going to be in and who's going to be out in that game. So those are my thoughts. Went through every game, hour in the books. Hit the like button for me if you can. Definitely helps out with the algorithm. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. And let's get to a couple of people on the Twitter to see what we liking as well outside of what I'm looking at. Let's see if we can get Ben. Ben, can you hear me? If so, the floor is yours, my guy. What's going on? I'm good, my man. How you doing? How you feeling? The Christmas game, okay.
Because I saw, usually the whole world's on the chalk, which is like the other superstar when the first one's out. That's a spot I've been trying to avoid this year. So I did a quick search on like every single Sixers player with and without Embiid this season. And the one who showed to have the biggest disparity in usage was Melton. So I rode with him, and he cashed with ease, even with, playing his best game. I think he was 5 for 17 from the floor. He actually had 3 points going into the second half. What I noticed, he took 17 shots. And the shots that he missed, he was still getting good shots. He was still, he was still getting in a position where he was putting himself in favorable places to score. The shots just weren't falling. So I'm riding with him again. He cashed last time at 12.5 minus 110. I'm taking him again. 12.5 minus 125. And last in the 15 and the 20. So that's what I was going to come up here and talk about today.
DeAnthony Melton. Okay. Yeah, I could definitely see it. We know that the Magic give it up to guards too, Ben. So I agree with you. I see it already up to 14.5 on FanDuel, but and on Bet Rivers, but there are some 13.5s, and they're playable 13.5. This is why I always tell you guys to shop around. And shout out to the sponsor, OddsJam, because you can get it 13.5 at minus 110. Why would you go play, plus 100 on FanDuel at 14.5 when you can get a really good number on Bet MGM at 13.5? So couldn't talk you off of that at all, Ben. What else you liking?
I like Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre's never seen a shot he don't like.
That's a fact.
And we're looking at how to rank the best way to project points, to project volume. I thought Kelly was actually not as aggressive last game. Again, I was there. He took 16 shots. I did 16.5 this morning at minus 114. Again, if you like it at 16.5, you still probably like it at 17.5. I took 16.5, so I guess I don't really got to worry about that. But somewhere between 15 and 18 attempts tonight from the floor, especially in a game with the Magic on back-to-back. So to me, it's like one of these two probably goes over. Both of them went over last time. I just think that the Magic's whole game plan is going to be how do we stop this fantasy. We're not good at defending guards. If we're bad at defending guards, let's do everything we can to take away the best one. You know what I mean? So to me, I just like the predictable volume with Melton and
It makes a lot of sense. Makes a whole lot of sense, Ben. Best of luck, man. Best of luck tonight. All right, let's keep going. Flo, what's going on, my brother? How are you today?
Doing excellent. How are you?
I'm good, bro. I'm good, man. I can't complain. What was the last thing you said?
So how was your Christmas?
It was good, bro. It was good, man. It's more so about the kids now, so I don't have any complaints, bro. None at all. How was yours?
It was beautiful, man. Beautiful, man. We got a nice win. Family was in. We all had a great day. Truly lovely, man. Hope everybody had great holidays. Great, healthy holidays going into New Year's. I got 4 plays tonight. And like a bunch of other looks from 4 main plays. My favorite one today for this game, sadly, is Josh Giddey's points plus assists. It's like a really interesting game because it's kind of like a contrasting game of fights. Like the Knicks are like this big, forceful, tough team, and the Thunder are like this small, quick, fast team that doesn't play with bigs. So it's going to be a really interesting game. But really like Giddey's points plus assists because for one, hold on, pull up my numbers really quick. For one, he kind of profiles as like what I saw with Chris Middleton, where if you saw the 2 games versus the Knicks he just played, where he went over his assist, where he can just get to that mini shot because the Knicks kind of don't have anything to guard him. And he's a really good distributor. Historically, he's killed the Knicks. He played 10 more minutes back in the day when he was getting those triple-doubles, so I wouldn't play the triple-double. But basically, at home, yesterday was his first game back. He had 17 points plus assists. He's over 6 of his last 7 at home, 7 of 9 overall. Just love it, the fact that there's a bad Knicks defense. OKC plays at the 6th quickest pace. Whenever you can get an opportunity to speed up this Knicks defense, get in transition, it's very bad in transition. I think he could get some really easy assists, get some really easy shots to the midi. So I really love that one. I'm going back to, it's the ugliest favorite play, my favorite play. I'm going right back to it, which is RJ Barrett rebounds. Over the last year and a half, when Mitchell Robinson hasn't played, the guy's over 5 rebounds, 8 of 10. On Christmas, he almost cleared the full ladder, but quickly was going crazy, so he stopped at 6. But I played his 4.5 at plus 100, I want to say. And his 6, I got greedy. You can just take the 6 for like plus 180. I really think Brunson's getting a steal, so I put the 6 with the Brunson steal for like 310 because I'm getting greedy on that one. I agree 100%. They have nothing to stop Julius Randle. I think if the Knicks are going to keep up, they got to kind of like impose their will on him. And I think this is a great Julius Randle spot. I don't know what it's at now, but I took it at 24.5. I really think this is a spot for him to get going, hit some shots, and they got to like slow it down a little bit because if the game goes too fast, like Shane and the boys going to get him out of here quick. So love those. And it's Emmanuel quickly 12.5, spot 5, my 4th and final play for the game. It just profiles as like this is an Emmanuel Quickly spot. Like it's going to be a YMCA game. It's going to be quick. Guards coming off the bench, slap up OKC. So all of it. Just love everything for Emmanuel Quickly. I also think it's a potential like ladder spot for him because they're finally starting to play him. Like when he plays 24, 25 minutes, he'll get to 18, 20 points. You just don't know if he's going to play. So he's got to start well because if not, then Thibodeau's going to do his usual BS, playing 17, 18 minutes. But like those 4. So to recap, it's Giddey's points plus assists, Quickly's points, Randle points, and also RJ Barrett rebounds. And if you want to join me on the first basket, it's Chet 490 with Jalen Williams 700. Those 2. The Knicks have the worst jumper at the tip in Hartenstein. So, hopefully they run the play where they throw it to Chet and he has Jalen because there's one with him and Jalen, one with him and Dort. So I'm hoping it's the one with him and Jalen. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Hey, Flo, I think you got some. I think you got some really good looks, bro. I think you got some really good looks and you got some really good value, especially if this game turns into a shootout. So, Flo, I got a question for you before you drop. If you do, how do you, based on what you know about OKC defensively and the spot OKC is in, they're in the second leg of a back-to-back. And one thing I looked at was I did look at the Thunder this season on the second leg of back-to-back games. Real quick, I'm gonna pull it up. But I want your opinion on the total in this game. So the Thunder, they're 2-0 to the over, 2-0 straight up, 2-0 against the spread, 2-0 to the over when they're playing unrested. However, those games did come against the Pistons on October 30th, so first week of the season, and the other one came against the Trailblazers, and they were on the road in that one. They won one by 12, they won the other by 43. So knowing what you know about your Knicks right now, and knowing what I didn't even mean to take that off. Knowing what you know about the Knicks right now, and knowing what you know about the spot for this game, do you see points flow? Like, help me cap the total. Do you think this game goes over the 240? You think it's too sharp of a number to bet, or you think it goes under?
I'm not usually a totals guy, so I won't give this official, but I'll be honest, I'm scared. Like, I don't know how we're gonna stop them. Like between like Giddey, the mismatch with him and Barrett, between Shea, who I'm guessing they're gonna put quickly, Dante on him. Like Shea's gonna get to like that mini jump shot like all game long. Lane's gonna be wide open. Like I was hoping like Godfrey would get up here and like talk me to his points, assists, or his points or something, because Shea's gonna go crazy. And in this spot, like OKC, I was looking at the numbers. They do an excellent job of like stopping lead ball handlers like Brooks, points that stay away from. But his assist at 6.5 at like plus 118 is kind of crazy because they're actually terrible at stopping assists. They're like the 4th worst team in the league at doing that in the month of December. So I think this is one where it's like, yeah, you can see like a lot of points. I think you can see a game where you see like, let me see here, Chet has 20, Giddy has 30, Randall has like 28, Quickly has 18, and like it goes back and forth down to the wire. I also kind of wonder like a game like this where it's like kind of a barometer game for like, I don't think the Knicks are like some big bad title team or anything like that, but OKC, like if you listen to the beat writers and the coaches, like this is a spot where they talk about this team, young on the rise. They kind of look at these games versus good teams, barometer games. They get up for these games. So like look at what they did to Minnesota yesterday. Like they look like a team that wanted to kick their ass, you know? So,
yeah.
I think they're gonna be up for this game. Like they look at the Knicks coming in, you know, they have a good history versus the Knicks. So yeah, it's a really exciting team, man. If I had to lean on the points to answer your question, I'd lean over on that.
Lean over. Okay. That's all I wanted. I think that's an excellent breakdown, my brother. I appreciate that as well. Really appreciate that. So real quick for people who I see one question on YouTube. I don't know why I didn't do this a long time ago. I talked to you guys about like doing like a tutorial. So when Flo was just giving this breakdown for Emmanuel Quickly points, for RJ Barrett rebounds, and for Josh Giddey points plus assists, I was able to come in here and show you guys who has the best odds. And you guys can still see, well, no, you can't see that. Let's see. You guys can still see that. Let me just share it again. You guys can still see that on the screen right now if you're watching on YouTube. So you can see like right now I got points up, and you can still see that Emmanuel Quickly, I clicked on Emmanuel Quickly. So his is highlighted, but Emmanuel Quickly right here, best odds for Quickly right now, 12.5 on DraftKings at minus 105. Minus 106 on FanDuel. So it's not a lot of juice at all. Minus 108 on DraftKings. So you can get pretty good odds on him. But if you go into, I know Flo talked about RJ Barrett rebounds. Real quick, just to go back, RJ Barrett rebounds, he said he got it at plus 100. You guys can see on FanDuel that it's still at plus 100, whereas on Bet Rivers is minus 115. So those 15 cents, they add up over time, right? You want to be able to get a discount. You got to be a bargain shopper when you're betting on sports, and it's one of the reasons why I'm always shouting out OddsJam for the sponsorship. So yeah, if you like this and you want to try it out, like I said, the first month is you can get $25 or 25% off using code CBC if you guys join over on OddsJam. But it's something that I just wanted to kind of point out to you guys real quick. And I appreciate the looks, Flo. I think you got some beautiful plays in there tonight. I really want to get to the over on this game, man. I really, really do. One other thing I wanted to share real quick, and I'll jump off of here because I'm not into wasting time, but I love being able to kind of share just kind of taking you guys behind the curtain time, kind of looking at these games. This is what I was saying about the Knicks. So right here, you guys can see, if you're watching on YouTube, you guys can see this is the Knicks right here with Mitchell Robinson when he's actually in the game. So the Knicks so far this year with Mitchell Robinson, they're 12-8 straight up, 11-8-1 against the spread. But more importantly, what I'm looking at is these numbers right here. So these are the final point totals. So the Knicks were winning the game by about 4 points. You see 111.5 to 107.5. They were winning games by 4 points with Mitchell Robinson in. But those games, if you do this quick math, that's 219 points for the game is what they were giving up. They were giving up 107 specifically and averaging 111, right? So about 219 points there. Here you see the Knicks without Mitchell Robinson. So it's been 9 games since Mitchell Robinson has been out. They're 6-3 to the over. Those games are going over by 14.5 points. And here you can see they're averaging 123 points per game, and they're giving up 123 points per game. So this is where I started to lean towards the over when I was doing the breakdown last night. The problem is, do the Knicks score 123 points against this Thunder team? Because they can really lock up at time. I don't think that they will in this spot. I just can't trust the Knicks offense. I think looking at the player prop, like Flo said, is probably going to be the better look in this spot. and that's the way I would look as well. But yeah, that's it for the show, man. That's it for the show. I want to just real quick. Let me see if I can go to total points real quick and go to so the best line, and I'll put my screen back up so you guys can see this as well. The best line for this game, if you wanted to take the over, it looks like it is over on ESPN Bet right here. 239.5 is still available, so you can get under 240. There's a 240 out here on Caesars. You guys can see that. And then there's also the 239 and 240.5. So sometimes, all it takes is a point and you could be wrong. So definitely shop around, definitely get the best number. If you guys are, looking at any player props, and one way you could do that, like I said, is by going and using the OddsJam software. But one official play for me, I haven't really gotten there with anything quite yet, but we got plenty of time to get the updated injury news. And that's going to be the over in that first game that we talked about. I really think that game goes over, and that's the Orlando game back home against Philly. I think Maxey over his points prop in the first quarter is also something that should be in play off the stinker that he had on Christmas Day. I want to say it probably wasn't Maxey's first Christmas Day game, but it was his first Christmas Day game being the lead guard without James Harden being there. I'm not sure if they played on Christmas last year or not. I'm pretty sure they did, but yeah, so that's the way I kind of look at at that game. I think the game goes over, especially with Orlando being on the second leg of a back-to-back and having to travel. So that's what I'm thinking in that game. And just to kind of real quick give you guys what else I was looking at. Raptors and Wizards need Kuzma in, but if Kuzma is ruled in, I like the over there. Also like Daniel Gafford rebounds over the 7.5, and potentially his double-double at 320. Maybe just a little sprinkle on a double-double. Bucks and Nets, don't play that game too early, because like I said, no Giannis in or out. Daron Sharp is live today, and also Cam Thomas is live today as well. Both of those guys gonna get extended run today on the second leg of a back-to-back with all the injured players. Knicks and Thunder, I want to get there on the over. I want to get there with the Thunder in the first half again, even though I didn't play it yesterday. I do think that's the right side in this one. Suns and Rockets, I lean Rockets team total to go over the 113.5. Gave the analysis around that, but it's really just the Orlando. You want to fade the team that's playing against the Pacers with no rest, and the Rockets being on the second leg of a back-to-back, having to chase the Pacers around. Suns should be really motivated in this spot, and they get Nurkic back. And on the opposite side, you're probably going to be without Dylan the Villain in that one. And the Cavs and Mavs, I don't have anything in that game just because, like I said, don't know who's going to play in that one. But one official play, Philly Orlando over the 225. Hopefully, for the members, if you guys liked it, hopefully you got it last night, because it is up to 228.5, 229 in some spots, and I still like it to go over at that number as well. But those are my thoughts, man. Those are my thoughts. Best of luck today. Hour, 18 minutes in the books. Like I said, if you guys enjoy the show, please consider hitting the like button for me. Subscribe to the channel. Give me a follow on Twitter if you guys are watching on YouTube. Also subscribe on YouTube if you guys are watching on Twitter. We'll be back tomorrow to break down the card again, all over again, man. And maybe a night show. We'll see how it goes. Best of luck on all your action today, though.